some more poems. The last section, no, there's 8 sections, but I'm not reading from the prose coda. The 7th section is Final Entropy. And this poem was also in the American Poetry Review. The title of the poem, How It Will End, parenthesis, previously recorded. So how it will end, previously recorded. In the end, there will be no witnesses as far as we know, but there are no guarantees. In the final entropy of the last 400 million years, the time it will take for the life of all radioactive substances to expire, the incessant yet now forsaken sound of the world's sirens, still very loud and shrill, undiminished really, will be the last testament to human technological mastery, a manufactured sound devised so well that it will never end as far as we know. But there are no guarantees. This incessant sound of the world's sirens will be ignored by the centipedes, scorpions, and cockroaches that make their own sounds as legs and abdomens rub together in their jostling for space in the empty and permanent night. This immortal sound of the world's sirens in the absence of light will be wasted on this seething mass of copulating insects, quivering with agitation that certainly lack any appreciation of immortality as far as we know. But there are no guarantees.
Could I interrupt you for just a second?
No, you're not interrupting.
Okay. Do you have a favorite poet, or do you just love mythology and Shakespeare?
I do. I don't know much about mythology.
Okay.
I'm interested in it, but I love Shakespeare.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time studying his tragedies. I had my best professor I ever had, Thomas McFarland, taught me more than I can say about especially Hamlet, Lear, and
Okay.
and I love Samuel Beckett as a writer who I consider who's a dramatist, but obviously, but more importantly, like Shakespeare himself, a poet.
Okay.
But I have, Wallace Stevens, E.E. Cummings, certain poems from certain poets. Yeah.
But current poets, do you have
Grant
favorite?
Hankins.
Pardon?
I was kidding. He's a writer. So is Dick. Where's Dick Scott?
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, he's written 6 books. This guy right here. Who's my favorite poet? I mean, these people are dead now, but the idea of order at Key West, I recommend. Wallace Stevens is a difficult poet, and I can't even approach some of his poems. But when I heard that, and when I read The Idea of Order at Key West, I was clueless. But when I saw him in this magnificent voice reveal the poem, go on YouTube and put The Idea of Order at Key West, and he's talking about everything. He's talking about the mind, the human mind, and the reality of the human mind as it manifests itself in poetry. And it's
Didn't he also write a book?
he's written a lot of criticism, but a
Okay.
book, I'm not sure.
I thought he wrote The Age of Innocence.
The Age of what?
Innocence, is that
No, that's someone else.
Oh,
Wharton.
that's Wharton. excuse
Yeah.
me. I got it.
But there's so many good poets. I personally find that my taste is not so trustworthy. I dare to say that sometimes I have trouble liking Emily Dickinson, who's considered by almost all experts and the greatest critics in English, one of the greatest poets that ever lived. And I have no doubt that's true. But she doesn't speak to me so well as other poets. And then who's that guy? Charles Bukowski. He speaks to me sometimes, and he's kind of a gross, simple guy who writes.
Is that Ham on Rye?
Yeah,
Is that the guy? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's the
just
guy.
finished reading that book.
right. So anyway, be relieved that I'm not reading a poem about the ants that eat the face of a man. That's actually from a true story. So never mind, I'm not going to go there. That's the prose coda.
Could you also tell us how you chose the title of your book? You told us how you chose the artwork, but how did you choose the title?
Love. Cannibals. This poetry is dark, and I do think that
Right.
It's not, it's fair to say in a metaphorical sense that we are cannibals to one another. And when you really love someone, you love them so much you want to eat them. But we do devour each other symbolically. There's a lot of cruelty in the world. The act of cannibalism is also richly symbolic in Africa in certain ways. And I wanted to be provocative and sell books. I thought Love Poems for Cannibals. I had another title, Down in Heaven, Up in Hell. And I thought that just doesn't do it like Love Poems for Cannibals.
Well, the inconsistency of cannibals and love
Exactly.
was
They
play on words.
they bump into each other.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
juxtaposition of thought.
That's right. That's exactly right. That was my thinking. So I'm going to read this last poem. It's an homage to Eugene Ionesco, and he was a French playwright. He's not my favorite playwright, but he's kind of he worked along with Beckett, maybe a little bit before, a contemporary of Samuel Beckett, and he was truly the playwright of the absurd, where he'd have people speaking gibberish and changing identities. But most of all, he was a guy that in one of his plays, and particularly The New Tenant, also of The Chairs, has things, the thingness of the world, the objects, the objectification of the world present on stage. So that in the New Tenant play, objects literally overwhelm the characters. And that resonates with me in modern life in a way. So I rant. This is a rant called Homage to Eugene Ionesco. In this random proliferation of junk, the junk in the backyards, the junk in the closets, the junk in every garage, the junk on the desks and in the drawers of every business on the desks and chairs and floors and drawers of every government office, the junk of newspapers, magazines, of every copy of every book and memo, the junk of everything ever written, every object ever made, every object ever sold. These things and everything is for sale, utterly insignificant. And where are you? In the midst of all these no things. In the midst of this heap of objects, stuttering among the strata of modern hypotheses, stuttering among the strata of these explanations of death, proliferating things among other proliferating things to which you are almost painfully attached. These obsolete objects falling, hitting the ground, and breaking into smaller things, breaking easily and quickly because no thing is really connected. No things were ever really connected. Shattering into tiny bits and pieces, followed by the theories to explain the falling and the breaking apart, theories to explain the shattered bits and pieces, theories that attempt to put the pieces together again, the way they were, or the way they might have been, or the way they were imagined, before they fell or were dropped or were thrown, theories to explain what these things might have been when they were whole, if they ever were. Theories fragmenting into other theories. And where are you? Since none of it is really connected to you, is it? Can you remember what it was like before the world was shattered? Or before you were torn from the unity of the world? Was this distant memory ever real for anyone? All you can remember is how the vehicles they made would shine like new silver bullets in the sun. Now the Garden of Eden is buried in a heap of objects in this random accumulation of technological night. That's it. Gee. Anyway,
I think you have a flair for rant. That one I really enjoyed.
God, I have this other one I so much love to read you, but it's...
Too dark, too risque?
Yeah, it's got bad words in it. If everybody agrees...
We're not going to tell on you.
Can I do the one?
Sure.
Okay, I'm just
There's no
reading.
one under 12 in here, correct?
What?
No one under 12?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, but it really is the rant.
Well, that's fresh.
That's what I do best. Just ask my wife.
That's why he wants me to get rid of all the stuff in the house.
Well,
He says you
listen.
can't take it
No.
with you.
Well, guess
No, I
what?
want to, because we've got to move into a smaller place.
I've
Irony.
got 6 kids, and I'm saving things when they were exchange students in Brazil.
Uh-huh.
That was 25 years ago. I'm still saving their stuff.
Yeah, and our kids don't want any of it.
Yeah, well, eventually they're gonna want it. But I said, when it becomes real horizontal and you put a date on it, then it's going out to the front yard free.
Yeah.
So you better hurry up.
So this poem is called, and I love this title, Irony is the Cross Upon Which Meaning is Crucified.
Oh, gee.
Okay. Walt Disney said, when your values are clear, your decisions are easy. Why is it easier to lie than to tell the truth? Can you really confess if you do not really believe? Yes, of course. And your confession can be published as literature. Really? Irony is the cross upon which meaning is crucified. Tammy Faye Baker said, I'm giving up religion to do sitcoms, talk shows, and game shows. I can make millions. Yes, you can. You can make millions. And so can any one of our millions of American women viewers shitting and pissing in the privacy of their own homes. Where is the irony in that? J. Robert Oppenheimer said, if the experiment is sweet, one must pursue it. Is it the truth that will set you free? I don't think so. I don't think so. So let's just go with the flow. Who said that? God has us hardwired for self-destruction. Who said that? Irony is the cross upon which meaning is crucified. Some of these are real quotes, by the way. Professor Irwin Corey said, language is only necessary when communication is endangered. Donatien Alphonse Francois Marquis de Sade asked, is there mucus in paradise? I made that part up. In any case, what could be more humiliating than death? Where is the irony in that? Francis de la Rochefoucauld wrote, hypocrisy is the homage that vice pays to virtue. Albert Camus wrote, men die and they are not happy. Where is the irony in that? Franz Kafka wrote, as Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a giant insect. Quote, you must turn your writing over to the authorities, they said. Let me say that again. You must turn your writing over to the authorities. Thank you, men exit. Irony is the cross upon which meaning is crucified. Shakespeare wrote, down from the waist they are centaurs, though woman all above. Give me an ounce of civet, good apothecary, sweeten my imagination. There is no love in the animal kingdom. Her animal crotch is like any other animal crotch. Is there mucus in paradise? They were butchered like animals, they said. But humans are animals, I said. Where is the irony in that? Christ was born on Christmas Day. La preuve vous avez. Why have you unhooked your plastic Jesus? We do not come from monkeys, she shrieked. Did you say that you don't plan to see your mother in heaven? Or our blind fathers? Perhaps death is not so bad after all. Is there mucus in paradise? Irony is the cross upon which meaning is crucified. After terrible things, we always thank God. All the churches in America thank God for Alzheimer's disease. All the churches in America thank God for emphysema. All the churches in America thank God for cancer. Why is everybody smiling? Don't they know they're going to die? In any case, what could be more humiliating than death? Where is the irony in that? Or getting your bone marrow from a baboon. My gorge rises at it. Or your drunken father spitting blood, pissing in the sink. Or your angry mother born with her intestines outside her body. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas. Beware of people who don't believe in God, and beware of people who do. Needless to say, the hearts of most of our citizens are mostly filled with hate. Remember Socrates agreeing to drink the hemlock? Please give him a warm, warm welcome. Irony is the cross upon which meaning is crucified. Irony is the cross upon which meaning is crucified. That's it. Go, Rad. Anyway, thank you all for coming and listening to poetry that's in some ways not easy to hear and probably weird too to some of you, but yes.
Have you ever done the coffee shop thing with saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of the greatest poems ever written are songs. Who's that? Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You mentioned my favorite poets. What's that one where they cross the midline? Oh my God. I can't think of the name of the poem, of the song, but the song, the lyrics of the song as well as the music, it is a great poem. Help me out here. Huh?
Southern Cross?
Southern Cross. God, I love that song. I can hear that song 100 times. Some of the Dylan songs, Westminster Cathedral by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. But I mean, songs are amazing, and they're poetry. I mean, there's some schlocky lyrics out there, but I think poetry is meant to be musical. Now, my poetry is hardly it's abrasive and it's interrupting the music. It's sort of interrupting itself because that's, huh? Well, yeah, but for me to say I'm writing, it's musical dissonance, I guess you could say. I'm interrupting. I didn't say this, I planned to say this, but my central preoccupation, the thing that has formed me is I listen, and when I listen, I hear cliches, and so much of what I hear is cliched, even what you read. And then if you just listen to the news, you don't hear truth. You hear the left cliche, the right cliche, you hear cliches, and the truth is lost. And I feel so frustrated, and I think that's almost the primal motivation for me writing, is to say something that's not a cliche. And that's not easy to do, if you think about it. It's not easy to say something that actually you don't think someone has said quite that way. And to get along in the world, we what?
I said, we're all brought up to be accepting and be the good guy.
Right,
I mean,
right,
so to be a rebel and be the bad guy and be snarky and
right.
whatever is a little difficult because you're walking sort of on the edge of
And
acceptance.
you want to get along, so you want to take the person by surprise. But that's exactly what I want to do in these poems.
Well,
Sort of take people by surprise.
you've done it in many of them.
Well, I appreciate it, and that's it. If anyone wants to buy a book, they're for sale, actually. $10.
You think that I went to high school with